Yeah, I know. I officially hate that new intro, just saying. And Peter, now I'm getting complaints that I did the comments by you. Thanks.
Excellent.
Okay. Hi, you guys are watching the Mac and Cheese podcast. I'm your host, Mary, and Peter will be the co-host along with Chris will be the guest this afternoon. If you want to follow there, please do. We'll have his YouTube and his Twitter account in the bio. Peter, do you want to ask your first question?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for joining us, even with the late wake up and everything like that. We do appreciate it as always. Focusing on my team specifically for a minute, and then I'll get to the more general questions. In terms of the coaches that either are or are expected to be available, what do you think would be the top 5 best coaching fits for the Bears?
I think Ben Johnson is easily the best fit for the Chicago Bears at 1. I would probably go Mike Vrabel at 2, but I think he's going to end up with my Patriots. Number 3 would be kind of an odd choice, but I would go with the Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator, and then we're going to go with Caleb's old offensive coordinator, former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury at 4, and rounding out this top 5 is going to be Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I could live with those. There's one that's right around what I have the top 5 as. The one name that I actually wouldn't mind in addition to that would be Josh McCown, because he knows what it takes to be a quarterback here specifically, and there's no better mentor than that than you could have either. But that's probably this. If I had to pick a 6th, it would be him.
Really quick, Peter, I have to ask Chris something. Chris, what are your thoughts about the Jaguars possibly interviewing Robert Saleh from the Packers offensive consultant? I saw that they might interview him for their head coach position.
That'll be interesting. I heard they're going to try to get Ben Johnson, because if they get Ben Johnson, they can bring back 2 of their former Jaguars players, Mark Brunell or Keenan McCardell, in positions, and they can poach multiple coaches from the Lions versus 1.
Okay. Because I saw that today. Go ahead, Peter. Sorry. I just had...
No, that was that's your question anyway, so...
No, it wasn't. I just added that one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That case, with playoffs starting and such, what would be, as of right now, what would be your Super Bowl predictions?
I think we will see one of the AFC teams defeat the Lions. Probably either the Ravens or the Chiefs, if I had to guess.
Okay.
I had the Ravens over the Lions since May, but when the schedules came out, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Awesome. That would be a good game.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. So Peter and I wanted to do this, but we'll ask you this question because why not, I guess. Who do you think will win comeback player of the year, knowing that DeMar Hamlin didn't win it last year?
I feel like that'll probably go to Burrow. That'll be the because Burrow is probably not going to win MVP, so this will be the NFL's way of saying, "Here, we'll give you this award. Don't complain about not winning the MVP because the Bengals didn't make the playoffs. Here's your comeback player of the year award," and they'll use it to justify giving the MVP to Allen or Lamar. Well, it's not trying to get off topic, but I think Burrow's probably going to win comeback player of the year because he did get injured in 2023.
That's fair.
What about Oh shoot, I forgot the quarterback's name. Shoot. Never mind. From the Vikings.
Sam
Darnold
Darnold.
could win it too.
Sam Darnold. That's who it is. Coming back from the injury and nearly leading the Bengals single-handedly into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I do think it's either going to be Burrow or Darnold, though. I really don't see any other serious candidates for comeback player of the year.
So you don't think like Rodgers with the Achilles or Kirk Cousins with the Achilles?
No. Jets didn't win enough games to qualify for that, and Kirk Cousins got benched for Penix, so I don't think they would qualify.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Cannot wait until Rodgers just goes away and doesn't bother people anymore. Anyway. Now turning towards the draft, because obviously I'm going to start trying to do my semi-deep dive, although nowhere near as intensive as yours is. Who would you say are the top 3 offensive lineman prospects?
I have Will Campbell, LSU, Kelvin Banks out of Texas, and the Tate Ratledge, the Georgia right guard, is my top 3 offensive linemen.
Nice. Okay.
Peter, did you want to save those for the next questions?
Yeah, I can do that.
I didn't know if that was like for separate questions.
Yeah.
So what is your personal thoughts about the Pro Bowl roster coming out, and were you surprised with who made it / who didn't make it? Like, I know, for instance, Kirby Joseph didn't make it from the safeties. Were you surprised about that at all?
Yeah, but the Pro Bowl roster voting is mainly a popularity contest. Baker Mayfield also didn't make it. There were fans irate about that. Last year, Winfield didn't make it. So, that's the interesting thing about the Pro Bowl games. Mm-hmm. And they are just games at this point. They used to I like the older Pro Bowl format better, but they had to change it because they were losing viewers in spades. So,
okay. Go ahead, Peter. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's really a shame too, because I missed one that was an actual game and stuff, and you would try to win, but it's like that in a lot of the major sports nowadays, seemingly. Second one would also be on the draft line as well, but defensive. Who would you say are the top prospects?
There's a lot of good defensive players, but I think a lot of those guys are probably going to fly off the board very early, to the point where I don't know if the Bears are going to be able to get any of these guys. I know Will Johnson, Michigan, and Travis Hunter from Colorado will not be there. Mason Graham probably won't be there. That's probably a best case scenario. And Benjamin Morrison might be there, but he could also be there for the Packers if he slides to the late first. But Morrison was one of my top 5 guys in the preseason. Another player you could look at is Deion Walker out of Kentucky. He's a defensive tackle. He's my number 1 ranked defensive tackle, but most mocks do have Michigan's Mason Graham ranked ahead of him at the moment. So that's a player you could look at. Safety, I do like the safeties. Notre Dame's Xavier Watts and Georgia's Malachi Starks. They're both going to be in this draft. So I think either of those would be a good fit for the Bears if they wanted to take a defensive player.
Okay. Yeah, I would imagine, or at least hope, they would be going offensive line in the first round, but we'll see. We'll see. It depends who's there too, for sure. Because if it's anything like last year's draft, there's going to be a couple surprises.
I know we were all shocked with the round 1 last year, especially with the live stream of it. It was just
because there wasn't any defensive players coming off the board until the quarterbacks got picked. It kind of created a domino effect.
Yeah. So, and I would like to take this brief opportunity to thank Tennessee and Atlanta yet again for making the worst picks in the history of the first round, enabling us to get a wonderful new young receiver to pair with Caleb. Thank you.
Speaking of Tennessee, did you guys see that they fired their GM today?
Ray Carson gone.
I saw that. I sent Justin that right away with Malik Willis. Speaking of Malik Willis, he got injured against the Bears, so I don't like that. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, no problem.
But Jordan Love is okay to play.
Yeah.
So.
No, and like joking in the rivalry aside, I am really sorry to see what happened to both Love and Christian Watson. That's very unfortunate.
For those that do not know, Christian Watson did tear his ACL and some other damage against the Bears. So we don't like that.
Yeah,
But,
no, I was stunned he was playing, honestly. But
I know. Okay. So Peter talked about the draft, so I will too, I guess. So I know you sent us, Chris, and we appreciate this. You sent us your scouting report, kind of how you do it. So when would you suggest is the best time to start doing it for the first time? Like if you're just getting into scouting, when would you say is the best time to do it?
Now is probably the best time to do it.
Okay.
But you really have until the end of the playoff to the end of the start of the draft if you want to wait too.
Okay. Like I didn't know if you would suggest the combine or whatever for that.
You can combine Senior Bowl also works.
Okay.
So it
Shadur
kind
Sanders is probably going to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl. And if he doesn't play in that, he'll probably just practice an interview because that's what happened with Zay Flowers 2 years ago when I went to Las Vegas for the East-West Shrine Bowl. It's in Dallas this year, but yeah, the Shadur did accept an invite to play in that. So Sanders, he's probably going to go pretty highly in the draft.
Yeah.
So.
For the quarterback needy teams, obviously it's Cam Ward and Sanders, whichever order they have them in. Then it seems to me, at least, that there's a pretty significant drop off after that. Who would you say is your next one?
Milroe would probably be my third best QB. I could see the Giants taking Hunter and Milroe if the Browns and Titans go with Ward at 1 and Sanders at 2, like I expect, because back in August, an AFC North scout told ESPN's Jordan Reed that we think Shadur Sanders is going to be better than Joe Burrow. And number one, I do not agree with that at all. And number two, this has got to be coming from Pittsburgh or Cleveland. Baltimore, Cincinnati scouts would not backstab Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow in that fashion. And Pittsburgh has Blisto scouts. The Browns have a Southwest area scout. That leads me to believe this intel back in August came from the Browns. So now that they're in a position to draft Shadur at 2, I think they will. And they'll give Watson his insurance money to get out of that contract in 2026, June 1st, 2026, and then they'll move on. Then the Shadur era will begin. I think that's probably because the thing with the Browns area scout is he was the Eagles area scout in 2020 when they drafted Jalen Hurts. Okay. This same scout. So if he's the one who's saying Shadur could be better than Burrow, I think the Browns are just gonna roll with Shadur and see what happens. But I could be wrong on that.
Okay. I don't know where Peter went. Do you see Peter, Chris?
No, I don't.
Okay. He's like spinning on my end. It's kind of funny. What were your thoughts about Malik Willis when the Titans traded him to the Packers? Were you surprised by that at all?
He was not doing good with the Titans at all. So I wasn't surprised he got traded away. They had Levis, they had Mason Rudolph. And with those two, they really didn't need Malik Willis. And Malik Willis is a good backup for the Packers. Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries, where is Peter?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that would have been way funnier with the Unsolved Mysteries music in the background. No offense.
Oh my god. The site crashed. StreamYard crashed. That's what he just said. Shoot. So what? Here, I'm just gonna give you draft questions for last year, I guess, because I don't know where Peter went. What was your thoughts about Evan Williams? Were you surprised that he went in the 4th round?
Not really. I mean, I really didn't expect him to get picked at all. So really? I'm kind of surprised he got picked. I've had him in the 6th to 7th to undrafted territory. I didn't have him in the 4th round, but the Packers liked him, and it worked out for them. So great.
Yeah. What about Edgerrin Cooper? Are you surprised how well he's doing?
Not really. He was my number one middle linebacker in the draft, so I'm not surprised he's excelled and dominated in the way he has.
Okay, because Peter's not here, I'm going to ask you it anyways. What do you think about Mike McCarthy possibly going to the Bears? There was a rumor that he was supposedly interviewing for that head coaching job. Oh, there he is. Peter, do you want me to? Here.
Yeah, take that other one out.
I got it. Fixed it.
Weird. Don't know what happened there, but anyway.
Well, 'cause when I unplugged my mic, you went spinning. So I don't know.
Okay.
You're back now. That's all that matters.
Cool. That works.
No, but Chris, I heard people on the Packers side that wants to get Gutekunst and LaFleur fired. Are you okay with that or no?
I do not agree with that, considering the Packers have done well under those two. And, this regime's got a lot going for it.
Right. Okay, Peter, go ahead. Sorry.
Huh.
Can you hear me, Peter? Chris, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
What, Peter? What?
This site. Anyway, go on. Sorry about that, guys.
It's your question. It's your question. I've just been filling it
Well,
out.
it's better than the blue screen on Restream. Sometimes we get the blue screen on Restream, so.
Oh, no.
That's fair. Okay.
And it's your question, Peter, so.
Go ask one more because I have to pull up something else with the document too. So do your next one first, real quick.
Shoot. I've been filling it up. Okay, fine. Do you see the Packers re-signing Christian Watson next year or Romeo Doubs, knowing their contract is about to be up?
I was going to say yes to Watson, but after this injury, I think this injury is probably... honestly, they may move on from both and then re-sign Jaden Reed and Jordan Wicks. Because then they can keep all their receivers and rookie deals, and they can use this draft or the next one to reload at receiver.
So you mean Dontavian Wicks?
Yeah, Dontavian Wicks. Because Dontavian Wicks, because everyone will be on a rookie deal next year, and then you'll have Watson and Dobbs as UFAs, and then you'll have Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks in the final year of their rookie deals.
Okay, so would you expect the Packers to extend Zach Tom? And I'm only asking this because Justin put it in chat.
They might. They honestly might, because I think they are going to extend someone from that 22 class. They might extend Rasheed Walker to the left tackle. I think they might try to extend one or either of the tackles and then reload at receiver.
Okay. So really quick, Peter, is this draft class heavy in wide receiver? What'd you say? I don't know what's heavy the most in.
Heavy might be putting it some, but there's some pretty good top tier talent for sure.
Yeah. It's top heavy at receiver. I mean, it's a great defensive draft. Great at defensive end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, corner, safety, running back, tight end. It's deep at those positions, but it is top heavy at quarterback. It's top heavy at left tackle, and it's top heavy at receiver. But there are some nicknames like Tatoria McMillan out of Arizona, Luther Burden third out of Missouri, Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State are the three big main ones. And then once those three come off the board, I mean, there is a big drop-off after those three get picked.
Yeah. So, no, it's going to be interesting, too, with the Illini coming back up if some of their players start going, because they've actually been getting some recognition finally, too. So that's good to see. Of the Bears' impending free agents, who do you think does get extended versus they let them go? Tevin Jenkins obviously would be probably the biggest discussion.
I do not think the Bears are going to re-sign Tevin Jenkins. I don't know where he's going to end up going, but it's just a hunch. I saw some of the penalties in the Thanksgiving game, and I don't think he's going to end up getting re-signed.
Interesting. Okay.
So, really quick, Peter, now that you asked that, Chris, what do you think about the Packers for the 2022 class? Like you said, maybe Rashid, maybe Zach Tom, but who else would you say?
I mean, those are probably the two big names that get re-signed. As much as I'd like to see Watson re-signed, I don't think they will because of the injury history and because they have guys like Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft was, and Luke. Well, Luke Musgrave I like too, but he's starting to have the same durability problems Watson had. And Tucker Kraft was Tucker Kraft was seen as a guy that had those durability problems entering the draft, but he's been healthy for the Packers the last 2 years. So,
I mean, we also have to remember Marshawn Lloyd is coming back next season. He is going to Madison to fix that knee issue or something. So that should be interesting how that goes. Do you think the Packers keep Eric Stokes?
Depends. I think they're either going to move on from Jair Alexander or Eric Stokes. I don't think they'll move on from both because if they buy out Alexander's contract, they probably will try to re-sign Stokes on a team-friendly deal. And if the worst case scenario is you lose both of them, one to a buyout and then Stokes to another team in free agency. I think that's the worst case scenario. I think we're probably in agreement on that, but I don't think the Packers are going to lose both of them. I think they're going to either move on from Stokes and keep Alexander, or they're going to buy out Alexander and keep Stokes.
So do you think the Packers keep Josh Myers? Peter, I know your answer.
Yes.
What about Josh Myers?
I would have said no at the beginning of the year, but I could see it happening now.
You just want to hurt all Packers fans, don't you?
Woohoo!
No.
Because most Packer fans do not like Josh Myers as of now.
I don't know. He's playing great. I don't see what the issue is.
Whatever. What do you think the Packers do at kicker, knowing Brandon McManus is on his last year of the Packers deal? Do you think the Packers resign him? Or what?
Well, it's a really good kicker draft. We found like 3 or 4 kickers with starter potential, but I really don't know who's in the market for a kicker outside of the Patriots. There's only 5 teams that have free agents, and the Patriots of Joey Sly are one of them. Maybe the Packers are the second team outside of New England that drafts a kicker this year.
Oh, do you think the Packers keep Rich Bisaccia or fire Rich Bisaccia?
No, I don't think they fire Bisaccia.
I mean, because the 49ers fired their special teams coach today. So you don't think so? You don't think they'll fire him?
Bisaccia is one of those special teams coordinators with experience as an interim head coach. I don't think people realize how valuable that is. Yeah. He was the Raiders interim head coach the year they made the playoffs.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, even if it's for that alone, you absolutely keep that because that's a commodity that not a lot of teams have.
Right. So, are you surprised that the Raiders didn't select Rich Bisaccia as their head coach too?
Yes.
Okay. Peter, go ahead. Sorry, I'm like filling in the question.
Oh, you're good. What do you think are some of like the surprise coaching candidates that might actually get a position?
I mean, I think McCown could get an offensive coordinator position, Josh McCown, but I don't know if he's going to get a head coaching position at this time, but he's definitely on that short list of names. Oh, okay. I am interested in answering these questions. I know I'm yawning, but I woke up at 11:55.
You're good.
You're fine.
All right. I'm thinking, it would be interesting if I do think some coaches at Denver will get some interviews. The coordinators under Sean Payton will get some interviews. I don't think either will get hired, but I think they'll at least get some formal interviews. Okay. What if Greg Roman got interviewed for a head coaching job? What if that was a surprise name, Greg Roman, and he gets interviewed for the Bears job? I don't think the Bears would hire him, but what if they interview him? How would you feel about that, Peter?
I would be open to that. At least get him an interview and get the name out there again, because I think he does deserve a shot at it.
All right.
Really quick, Chris, you said Ben Johnson would go to Chicago, right? Versus New England, right?
Yeah, because I think New England's going to go with Vrabel. But
Yeah.
nobody's going to be able to interview Ben Johnson until after the Super Bowl if the Lions end up in the Super Bowl. So that's going to really, with new coaching rules, the new head coaching rules state you can't interview a candidate until they're eliminated from the playoffs. So the only coach that people really can hire this week is Mike Vrabel.
Oh,
Right.
true. I mean, and Mike McCarthy if they wanted.
And I honestly think Vrabel's going to give Rob Kraft an ultimatum. Hire me and let me put my people in, or I'm going to go elsewhere. And I think that's how the Patriots are going to end up hiring Vrabel.
Yeah.
So who do you think the Jets take as their head coach?
I am not sure who the Jets would take. I really am not. I don't think a defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn could end up on the Saints or the Jets. I'm leaning toward him going to the Saints right now, though.
Peter, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Okay, obviously, in terms of athleticism, Travis Hunter has a chance to be something that we haven't seen since, ironically, the guy who's his coach right now, or who has coached him anyway. If a team were to draft him high, which obviously they're going to do, which side of the ball do you see them using him on primarily?
Cornerback, because he's already entering the combine as a cornerback. He can't enter the combine as a corner receiver.
Yeah.
He's entering the combine as a corner. So I think that's going to be the main position he plays in the NFL.
Now, with that, do you think they use him for certain snaps on offense as well, or do you think they let him?
Yes, I do think he'll use certain snaps on offense, but he'll probably only play a third of the snaps he played at Colorado on offense in the NFL his rookie year, and they might cut that back even more in year 2.
Yeah, makes sense.
Really quick, Peter. I don't know if you've looked at the comments. There's a lot more. James wants to know, what about the Jets rehiring Rex Ryan?
That's not going to happen. I think the Jets have a better chance of rehiring rehiring Matt Nagy, the former Bears head coach, than they do of rehiring Rex Ryan.
Shoot. No, Peter, go on with your next question.
You had to bring him up.
That's
Peter,
why Peter was chuckling, Mary. You have to understand. The Matt Nagy hire was an absolute disaster for Bears fans. So
I'm aware. Trust me. No, Peter, go ahead with your next question. I forgot a name again.
Okay.
If you have any more.
Not really, but I'll make one up here. In terms of interior offensive line, because obviously the ones you had mentioned before were tackles. Specifically,
I did
center.
mention Tate Ratledge, the Georgia guard. He was an interior player.
Right. Okay. Center wise, specifically, who is your top?
There's 2: Parker Brailsford from Alabama and Jonah Monheim from USC. They're both. I have Brailsford at like 63 or 64 on my board, and I have Monheim in the 3rd round. But they're both good options. Both would be adequate upgrades over Josh Myers. I think that's part of the reason why I ended up mocking Brailsford to the Packers in round 2 back in August. Yeah, they would both be upgrades.
Okay.
They'd be upgrades for what they'd be upgrades for the Bears at center too, even though I think the Bears did add a nice center in free agency this year.
Yeah, if Bates could stay healthy, I would 100% agree with that. But
yeah, I was talking about Coleman Shelton, not Bates. But I think the Bears are another team like the Packers in the market for a center.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take a center.
Yeah. Like I see Shelton trying. I'm not questioning the effort, but I'd rather have him as kind of like the swing guy that can play anywhere along the interior if we need him to step in because someone gets hurt. I think that's a better role for him.
All right.
Oh, hey Peter, this might make you happy.
Hmm.
You remember Luke Getzey?
Yeah.
He was calling the Packers defensive plays this week against the Bears.
Well, that explains a lot.
We brought him back. You're welcome. No,
Good choice.
you guys can have him back though.
No, we're good.
No?
He already ruined one quarterback. I'm not letting him anywhere near Caleb.
Speaking of that, oh yeah, Getzey is an advisor. He's the
I
pretty much
guess he's
same as
something else too, but I'm not going to use
No, I know,
that
I know.
language here.
No, I know. He's the same thing as Saleh is on the offense, pretty much for the defense. Justin said nobody should try to be a coach for either of the New Jersey teams.
New Jersey.
That's a Tom Grossi joke. if you
Nice
guys didn't
shot.
know. No, that's a Tom Grossi joke. He
Yeah.
literally calls them New Jersey Jets, New Jersey Giants. So that's where that came from.
Well, they both play in New Jersey, so
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know. But people call them New York Jets, New York Giants. It's funny. They're not, they don't play in New York. Okay. Do you have any more questions, Peter?
Not
think
top of my
one
head.
more.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have
go
one
for
more.
it.
I have two more. So now that the season is almost done, well, it's officially done, but playoffs aren't here, or are here yet. Were you surprised by any of the teams that where they're playing, when they're playing? I know you mentioned on Thursday night, was it, that you weren't that you had it all marked up. Were you correct with all of it? With the playoff schedule?
I was correct on the Sunday games. I had the Bills Broncos at 1. I had the Packers Eagles at 4:30 on Fox. That actually did happen. The curveball was the Ravens Steelers being the Saturday night game on Amazon Prime, because I had that as the Sunday night game on NBC, but that's going to be the Saturday night game. And Chargers Texans is going to be the 4:30 game, just like last year. But instead of that being on ESPN ABC, that's going to be on CBS. And they're going to put Commanders Bucks on NBC and Rams and Vikings on Fox. So what this means is, for the third year in a row, the number one seed in the AFC will most likely play in the 4:20 game next Saturday, because Ravens, they played the Texans in that last year. The year before that, the Chiefs, I believe, were the number one seed, and they played the Jaguars, the AFC South champions. So that's kind of what the direction this feels like this is going in. So,
and were you surprised by any teams that did make playoffs, like the Broncos, for instance?
I was not surprised by those making it. I do. Well, the rest of their guys, Broncos, walked in. I didn't have the Broncos, but
I don't know what happened.
Good to know it's not just me, though. I think there's storms hitting a lot that are causing this.
Yeah, and you have to remember he lives in Pennsylvania, so snow.
Yeah, I knew they were going to get slammed at some point.
Peter, this is a question for you, I guess.
Sure.
Were you surprised that the Packers and Eagles was not primetime? Not game? Versus
No.
No?
Only because they opened the season with no one else playing, so I didn't think they would do that twice.
CBS and Nickelodeon has Chargers versus Texans game. Oh no.
That'll be fun.
I said before there should be a Disney football game.
Well, technically there is. That's ABC.
True, but not Toy Story is what I mean.
Yeah.
See,
Welcome back.
Peter, it's not just you.
Yeah. Yeah, I Broncos and Broncos surprised me. Steelers didn't really surprise me, but I really wasn't expecting as much as they did. But if they had but their season ended the way I expected it to, because I figured they would either miss the playoffs or they would win enough games early so where they could secure their spot before having to face the gauntlet in their schedule down the stretch. And that's exactly what happened. And then NFC, I only had 4 of the teams. Lions, Eagles, Rams, and Packers were the only 4 I had in the playoffs in August. So I'm not really surprised by the NFC. I mean, the Commanders are a great story. I had the Falcons winning the South. That's the only division winner I got wrong. So Buccaneers have had a really good season, though, so I'm not going to fault them too much for their play.
Right.
Okay.
Darnold's been a nice story, too.
Yeah. So now, I actually did think of one. In terms of the AFC specifically, who do you think is the team that made it that no one would want to play now? Because it was going to be Cincinnati if stuff had broken, but I'm thinking like a Denver could get on a roll and really scare some teams here.
I don't know. I think no one's going to want to play the Ravens for some reason. Their offense, the defense has catched its stride at the right time of the year. I don't think anybody wants to play the Ravens right now.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a Steelers fan yesterday, and they're nervous as heck for this game, for the playoffs. They're nervous. And they actually said their head coach did Russell Wilson dirty, too. I will say that. So there's that answer. Okay. Justin said it's either going to be Ravens or Chiefs or Bills and Chiefs for AFC Championship game. Which of those would you either want to see? I know Chris
I prefer to see Ravens Chiefs, another Lamar Jackson rematch with Mahomes, because I think Lamar's got a better chance of beating Mahomes than Allen this year. And I know Allen beat Mahomes in the regular season. We got to see that happen in the playoffs. I don't think that Allen's weapons are experienced enough to beat Mahomes in this stage at this level of play, because Andy Reid didn't use Hopkins against the Bills on purpose. He was trying to get a feel for what the Bills were doing in the regular season game. So the Bills have kind of already shown their cards to the Chiefs. Chiefs haven't really shown their cards to the Bills. Right. And I think that's a big element that a lot of people are underlooking. So,
yeah. Now, do you think with that they would have had a better shot if Buffalo was hosting as opposed to having to go into Kansas City?
Yes.
Do you think that changes?
Yes, absolutely. That changes everything.
Okay.
My friend Brittany Peter, she's from the Mac group too.
Oh, okay, cool.
From the play, yep. She said that would be a quite great AFC.
That would be.
And she's from Iowa. She went to school.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just to let you know about her. Chris, who do you personally think will be the fired? And do you see any surprise cuts this offseason? Like any surprise head coach cuts that we haven't seen, that we haven't heard of so far?
I mean, the Giants chose to keep their GM and Brian Dable. Dable's probably in there next year on the hot seat. I don't understand why the Jaguars kept Trent Baalke. I basically told my friend, here's a photo of Joe Schoen, here's a photo of Trent Baalke, and here's the Dumb and Dumber photo. I want you to Photoshop these GM's faces on the characters of Dumb and Dumber since you're a graphic designer.
Nice.
Great. Do you see anyone else getting cut? Like any defensive coordinators that hasn't got cut yet? Or fired?
I was surprised the Bengals fired their defensive coordinator, but I guess they want to blow up the defense and try to rectify the situation.
Were you surprised by the Browns offensive coordinator getting fired?
No, Dorsey is not good. And Andrew Berry threw Kevin Stefanski under the bus for hiring him. A lot of Berry's comments just came across as him failing to take accountability and dropping covert narcissistic comments on the rest of the staff members. That's kind of the vibe. I don't think he meant to do that, but he's all got to hold people accountable too. So it's not an easy spot to be in.
Yeah.
Peter, if you have anything else, just put it.
No, that would do it for now.
Well, that's all for me too.
Okay.
I'm just typing something in comments really quick.
Yeah, same.
Oh, wait. I didn't know that you and I could type at the same time.
Yeah, it's good to find out.
I don't like this anymore.
How do you guys feel about Brad Allen officiating the Packers-Eagles wild card game? Because he is both teams are 2-0 under Allen, but the Packers have been penalized like 15 times in those two games. The Eagles have only been penalized 4 times in those two games.
Did you really have to say that to me?
Good.
I mean, that's the thing is, I don't know. Yeah, at least it's not Sean.
And none of these 6 referees are going to be calling the Super Bowl. Well, so that's the good news. They get this week's games and they are out of the Super Bowl equation. Hockey might be in the Super Bowl equation because he is not one of the 6 this weekend. So if he's in the divisional round, he will be one of the 4 eligible for the Super Bowl. And I don't think Ron Torbert's in this week either. So Torbert and Hockey, I'm expecting next week to be 2 of the divisional round officials.
No, it couldn't happen to a more deserving team that has 30 years of awful officiating to make up for. So,
well, here's the thing: Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, so if he doesn't play, Packers might steal this game. We'll see.
So, what do you think about that? Do you think so? Someone noticed on Twitter today, or X, whatever you call it, that more concussions have been happening and players, or not more concussions, players have been holding out longer than the 4 weeks. Is it because of Tua's concussions in the past with all the injuries?
That Trevor Lawrence had a concussion too. That's part of it.
Okay. Because people have noticed they've been out longer than the usual time length. So that's what I was wondering. Like, I think Quay Walker's still out from like week 15 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Packers may face Kenny Pickett on Sunday. Ooh.
Well, but
that would be the most embarrassing way to lose a playoff game. Kenny Pickett, the Eagles win a playoff game with Kenny Pickett due to Brad Allen's officiating. That would be the most embarrassing way to lose a playoff game.
Best thing ever.
Peter's like, yes, let's make this happen.
I know, Peter also wanted us to lose against the Cardinals by Elijah Jones and Max Melton too. So I'm not forgetting about that, Peter. Nice try.
But see, well, the reason I think this one's more likely, it doesn't take Jalen Hurts to give it to Saquon 45 times this weekend and have him run for like 380 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Okay, so now that I brought up Boston College, Peter, just for you, do you like any prospects from Boston College in this year's draft that the Packers should take?
There's a defensive end, Donovan Izaru, who he got compared to Yannick Naguko. He will be there in the 3rd round. Ozzie Trapillo, the Boston College left tackle. I got a day 3 grade on him, but I could see the Packers taking him in the 3rd or 4th round as a backup to Rasheed Walker. There's some players in Boston College this year.
Here we go again.
Remember all these names, Peter.
Yep.
We need to find out which one Isaac likes the most.
Yeah, we do.
Oh no. Sorry, Isaac, if you're watching this. Do you have anything else?
Well, let's put it this way. Do you have any questions for us in addition to that one?
Yeah. Fine, I'll let you have that one.
Who do you want to see the Bears draft, Peter? And I don't know what should I ask, Mary? What do you think's the worst officiating matchup this weekend? Besides the Packers game, I think it's Sean. I think it's Bill Vinovich in Buffalo because this is the first Bill Vinovich playoff game with Sean Payton since the 2019 NFC Championship. And the Bills have been the least penalized team under Bill Vinovich this year. They were only penalized once against the Dolphins and 5 times against the Broncos in 23 when the Broncos were penalized 10 times when Payton beat the Bills on Monday Night Football. So I mean, yeah, Sean Payton's first playoff game with Bill Vinovich, it feels like a high school reunion. And After the 2019 NFC Championship game where the no DPI call got made against the Rams. Feels like a high school reunion.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. I do know some Bills fans, so if they don't get that kind of call, they're going to be upset, and they'll probably text me. Sorry about
Would
that.
any fan base be upset if Bill Vinovich got sucked into a snowstorm and he came out unharmed and he wasn't harmed? He's still healthy. He's still breathing. He's still alive, but he just gets sucked into the snowstorm during the game, and then he's alive. He's well, and then the game, and then he just goes back to doing whatever after the game's over. Would anybody be upset if he got sucked into a snowstorm, but he's completely healthy and unharmed? So.
Chris, do you think Denver can go in and pull the upset?
I think they're going to cover. I think that's the angle. I think the Bills. A lot of people will bet on the Bills to win straight up, but I think the Broncos will probably end up covering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would agree. In terms of answering yours, Kelvin Banks is definitely the top one that I would want them interested in, assuming he falls to 10. I don't think winning and moving from 10 to 9 or 9 to 10 makes that big of a difference because there's always going to be like one or two teams that jump up for someone. So I'm not ultra concerned about that. I just want them to go O-line in the first round, period. The only exception to that would be, and it's not going to happen, which is why I can say this, the only exception to that would be if Travis Hunter somehow falls to 10, because then, yes, absolutely. But
Chris, random question for you. I'm sorry. So the Jets are expected to interview Packers Vice President of Player Personnel, John Eric Sullivan. He is a key lieutenant to Brian Gutekunst. Sullivan has risen up the ranks in Green Bay over the last 2 decades. What are your thoughts about that?
They are interviewing everybody for that GM job. I mean, they are literally interviewing everyone. I think they interviewed Greenberg yesterday, so they're interviewing everybody.
Okay.
Their interview process is really long. It's kind of weird, but I think they're just trying to gain as much internal feedback as possible before deciding on their new GM and head coach. Because I think Woody Johnson needs all that feedback.
Okay.
The Jets owner, after using Madden ratings to determine whether or not to trade for Jerry Jeudy, he needs as much internal feedback as possible.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing.
It is. It's not a good thing, but yeah, it's a thing.
No, it's not. But that's interesting. I thought the Jets already had a GM. You know, that guy that was playing quarterback for them this past year.
So speaking of that, Chris, what do you think happens with that quarterback? And I'm not mentioning his name. As my lights.
Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he's going to retire. I think he's going to retire. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. I can already picture a Packers comic book where Aaron Rodgers goes to Brian and says, "Can I take Jordan Love on a darkness retreat before I retire a Packer?" And then Brian goes, "No, but you can retire a Packer."
No. So do you think Rodgers will retire as a Packer?
Yes, I do. Okay. I think he will retire. I just don't. I think this is the end for him.
Okay. So Justin thinks Rodgers will sign a 1-day contract and retire as a Packer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Justin. I think this is the end for Rodgers, and I think he retires.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Now you can go on a permanent darkness retreat somewhere.
I know he's done to your team, but still.
No, it's not even about that. I don't like him as a person.
The next NFL owners meeting will be on an Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat this spring. And Roger Goodell will take all the owners camping on the Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat.
Wait, the Packers don't have an owner, though.
I guess that means all the Packers co-owners get to go on the darkness retreat. In addition to the NFL owners.
If Green Bay loses a darkness retreat, it is needed until next year.
James, you spelled when wrong.
What?
James spelled when wrong, not if.
Rude.
Yes, a Green Bay. You might need a darkness retreat until next year, but hey, you'll have the owners. I'm sure at Aaron Rodgers owners meeting darkness retreat. I'm sure Jim Irsay will do something far dumber than anything the Packers fan base could do on that retreat. So don't worry, you're good.
Nobody will have a Jets Rodgers jersey in 5 years from now when Rodgers gets inducted into Canton.
I don't know about that. I think there will be some Jets fans that have one, but yeah, it'll be a passing fad for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, chat, do you guys have any questions for Chris, knowing that time is kind of limited today? Peter, I have one more question, and you know which one I'm going to ask, obviously.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is a bonus question, and there's a kind of surprise with this one. So we won't tell you guys what the surprise is yet because we've kind of hinted at it a lot of episodes, and I know Peter knows what this is. Peter, can you tell the chat about the surprise without giving it away?
Probably not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of the best surprises that we have working on that we're working on right now. So Chris, this one's for you. So Tom Grossi watches this episode. What would you say to him? When I say Tom Grossi, I mean fan of the year Tom Grossi.
Okay. I mean, he's done well. I think it's interesting because Tom and Annie Agar are both Packers fans. I never would have expected that from Annie, but yeah, Tom's done a great job with his show. Really good community work too, really rallying people around teams. But yeah, I don't want to sound like a blowhard, so I'm just, keep up the good work.
I'm surprised that you're not the one that asked him to come on your show because that's what everyone else has done.
I know Joey, the co-host of my show, would love to speak with Tom. So he can message me if he wants to, and if not, we'll move on from that. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. O-line or wide receiver in the first round for the New England? This is from Chop.
I really want Will Campbell, but I think the Patriots are going to take McMillan. So that's an either-or question for me, Justin.
Peter or Chris, final thoughts? Final thoughts?
I think the Titans are probably going to take Cam Ward. Rumors about the Browns could be true, could be false. I think the Giants are going to get Hunter, and they're going to trade up for Milroe.
Yeah.
The Giants they'll get Hunter at 3, and that'd be crazy though if they used Hunter on offense next to Neighbors, and they ended up with Milroe. That would be crazy for the Giants. But yeah, I think that's what they're going to end up doing.
Oh, yeah, that would be quite an athletic trio for sure.
Definitely.
Wow.
Peter, final thoughts?
Well, the streak is over. We'll leave it at that. And looking forward to seeing how we build towards next season. Wore this just for you today.
Whatever. Chris, I actually have one more question from you, and this is a lot of question that Packers are questionable about. So Floor said yesterday that Brian Gutekunst is looking to see if there are some free agent players who can help them since they potentially have 2 spots on the 53-man roster. Alexander and Watson likely would have to be someone who has played with them or in the system. Who would you say?
What players the Packers are going to cut? I really don't know.
No, grab. Because we have 2 spots on the 53-man roster. So who would you say would be on the roster for playoffs?
That's tough.
We're saying Jake Kumro.
I would bring back Taylor Lewan in the depth role, but I know he hasn't played in the league for like 3 or 4 years. And now he's got the Bustin' with the Boys podcast on Barstool. So I'm trying to think. I really don't have a good answer from the top of my head. I'm sorry. I wish I did.
I think you said Tyler, right? Or Taylor?
Taylor Lewan, yeah.
I think he said he would play last year with the Packers because he has familiarity with Matt LaFleur.
That's good. I think LaFleur may have been on the Titans for a year before he took the Packers job. That's probably why.
And also, if he has any familiarity with Rich Bisaccia too, that would help.
Yeah, that would also help.
Peter, did you see James' comment?
Yeah, going to in a minute. I did have one other guy that you guys could add because he is technically about to be a free agent quarterback. Actually, if you guys need a depth piece for the playoffs, I hear there's one that used to play there available.
No, no, nice try. People already mentioned his name, and we already said no to that. I'm sorry. People did mention Devontae Adams, though.
Fair. But yes, also James, that was a phenomenal picture that you had on Facebook, and it was awesome to see. So you should do that for the entirety of next season too.
Rude.
He
yes,
told me to.
Picture. I know exactly what picture you're talking about, Peter.
Hey, he said I could. I didn't bring it up.
No, I didn't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah.
I thought you did. So thank you so much for coming on. I know this was last minute. We appreciate it so much. Peter or Chris, where can people find you, and what do you have coming out next? I know I just
Draft Utopia. We just finished the QB through punter rankings for the draft. We're gonna have an NFL. We're probably going to record both Under the Bleachers and Utopia Football Insider on Restream tomorrow night at 8:30 and 9. And then we'll have a thumbnail for the wild card games, I guess, on Saturday, because we've pretty much finished up our draft content for the year. So we're just at this point, we're coming up with good thumbnails, good content for, fun content too for like playoff games.
So are you guys live streaming the games?
Not live streaming the games, but live streaming at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, trying to figure out, okay, who's going to win each playoff game.
Oh, okay. So predictions. Okay.
Yeah.
Peter,
yeah, we go from the wild card all the way up to the Super Bowl, but I'm going to make sure we're done by 4 because I don't want to miss any of these games. These games look like they could be incredible.
Yeah, agreed.
Peter, where can people find you? I know, but...
Yeah, in addition to here, you can also find us when we relaunch the Midwestern Chaos podcast, which there's definitely been a lot to talk about this year.
No.
I have no clue why she's so hesitant all of a sudden. She was doing fine when her team was winning them. How about you, sis? Where can they find you at?
So you guys can find me on the Mac and Cheese podcast, obviously. Midwestern Chaos, like Peter said. And we already relaunched it, so I don't know why you said relaunch, because we already did.
Because we were taking a break and such, so.
We came back. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be taking another hiatus from that show. Don't be surprised, guys, at this point. And you guys can find me and Cassie on Midwestern. No. Mary. Midnight Diz Nerd. And Life of Mary podcast, which I will be recording one soon.
Yep.
And I do have content coming up from the Vikings and Sunday's games, sadly.
Yay.
Yep.
Which might include some cows. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't worry. Cows are going to be friendly. Only game recap I got left to type for this year for the regular season is the Vikings-Lions game. And I know what happened. I know it was a pretty ugly game. I'm just not awake yet. So after I sign off here, I'm probably going to get some breakfast, get some energy, get my Adderall for my medication, and then probably pop in the Lions-Vikings game, which I DVR'd because I figured it'd be a good game, but it turned out to be a terrible game. The game was so bad that my older brother left after the blowout to go to a family dinner with my half-sister. So that's how badly Dan Campbell embarrassed Kevin O'Connell.
Really quick, I forgot one shout out. Oops, sorry, Karina. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be recording a Patriots episode tomorrow, and I forgot to shout that out. It's gonna be pre-recorded because this is her first ever podcast tomorrow, and we'll be talking about Vrabel because funny that you mentioned it, Chris. She actually wants Vrabel as your guys' head coach. So I know Peter knows about this, but this is a shout out to Scray Cheese. If you guys saw the Packers versus Saints game, Chris, were you watching that game live?
Yes.
Okay. So Peter, you were, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Jason Kelsey ate a wheel cheese, as you guys saw with the red wax. That was Scray's cheese, and I got told to give them a shout out. So this is your guys' shout out. They're in De Pere, Wisconsin, and please check them out. I know they would appreciate it, and it is delicious cheese because they let me taste it last night. And they live like 2 streets down the road from me. So please check them out, guys. We appreciate them so much. And yeah, is there anything else? Final thoughts, you two?
What?
No. I love how we're being so quiet. I love it.
I'd like to thank the Packers for benching their starters against the Saints. That helped me get to the championship in fantasy football. But yeah,
we didn't bench our starters. Is the thing.
I ended up losing the championship despite scoring over 200 points, though. But it's good. The person that won it was a first-time champion, so I'm happy for them.
Yeah. No, that's always fun to see someone finally break through like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end the live stream. Oh, no, I
Cool.
can't. No, I can't. I forgot. Yeah, intro.
Oh, yes.